Hello, I'm Dr. Chakrageous, and today this is your daily dose of education. Namaste. We're going to start with anatomy and physiology. The topic of choice. Today, we're covering anatomical position. In humans, an anatomical position is defined as standing up straight with the body at rest. It describes the anatomy of the body so that it is easy to understand what part of the body is being talked about. No matter what direction the organism is facing or where its appendages, limbs, appendages, are, it describes different parts of moving organisms no matter how they are moving or what position they are in. Yes. So, we have sagittal planes that divide the body. Yes, we do. Our complex bodies have different verbiage to further identify in times of necessity. You don't necessarily have to work in the medical field to have pertinent knowledge relevant to your need handy due to self-care. So, a median sagittal plane is a vertical plane passing through the middle of the body. Okay? So, this is the median sagittal plane. Dividing it into equal right and left halves. Planes parallel to this plane are called sagittal and paramedian plane. Okay? So, you have the sagittal up and then equally splitting across. And you have the paramedian plane. So it's the representation of a four-way board. And you're going to stack this board up exactly like this, Okay? So we're going to make our planes. So you have what you would call, this is the representation. The paramedian and the median. So, exactly how it crosses. If you see it from the side, it goes through, it intercedes, it intersects. Even on this side, it still crosses the paper. So imagine the human body in between this. These transverses and planes are used to describe the division necessary to properly communicate in the medical field. So, you have your median sagittal, which is your vertical plane passing through the middle of the body, dividing it into equal right and left halves, which creates the right and left half of the anatomical body. The paper that cut through, and you can see on both sides, that's the paramedian. It's the pair of median discs that are used to split that sagittal plane in order to create your upper and lower quadrants. Moving along. And it's okay to take notes. We'll call those formulas. Okay? I'll let you know when there's a formula to take. The coronal plane is is the vertical plane at the right angle of the sagittal plane. Okay? That would be over here. After the body is divided into up, down, left, and right, this would be the coronal plane. It's the vertical plane at the right angle of the sagittal plane. Okay? And it divides the body into anterior and posterior, which is the front and the back of the body. The horizontal or the transverse planes are at the right angles to both the sagittal and the coronal plane. The transverse would be what goes through the middle. Because it divides the body into upper and lower. That's the transverse plane. Yes, the coronal plane is the vertical plane at the right angle to the sagittal plane. So you have the sagittal, and then you have the coronal. No, you have the sagittal, and this will be the coronal, and here's the horizontal plane. So you have the transverse, and then you have the coronal, which is right here because this is the sagittal. Coronal is this quadrant. Superior and inferior. Superior, above. Inferior, below. Superior means near the head. Inferior means near the feet. Medial and lateral. Medial means near the middle line. Lateral means away from the middle line. So, is it medial? How close is the pain? Is it medial or is it lateral to your belly button? Anterior and posterior. Anterior, the front. Posterior, posterior. Behind, near the back of the body. Something that's in the past. And then anterior, that's how you remember, well, post, past. And that's how you remember as a context clue of a formula of how to identify. Sometimes the terminology in the medical field can be daunting. And you want to have tools to be able to verbalize your ability to say. Not everyone has to be in the medical field to know how to have healthy life skills. So let's utilize this tool to create this formula. Posterior. 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 That's near the back. Superficial and deep. Superficial means near the skin. Near the skin. Deep means away from the skin. So is the cut superficial or is it deep? If this is the skin and the breaking of the cut is just right here, it's superficial. If this is the skin and the cut, that's deep. Proximal means near the root of the limb. Proximal means near the root of the limb. So if this is the limb, is it proximal? If you say you have pain, is it proximal to the joint of the arm? Or is it near, almost the top of your elbow, making it distal? The palm of the hand and dorsum of the hand. The sole of the foot, plantar surface of the foot, or dorsum of the foot. So the dorsum, and that part in the bottom of the ball, if this is your foot, that part right there, it's called the dorsum. The dorsum. D-O-R-S-U-M. Dorsum. Formula moment. Flexion and extension. Flexion means bending, usually in most joints. Flexion is bending anteriorly. Posterior flexion, anterior flexion. Except in the knee joint, where flexion is bending posteriorly. Extension means straightening. Abduction and adduction. Ab, like your abs, duction, means to move away from the median plane. So to abduct is to take your arm further from the median center, which can be found anywhere from your sternum and near the umbilical region. So to abduct would be, I'm abducting. It's to take away your arm. To adduct is to add back to the closure of the duct under your arm. It's a good way to remember it. Abduct, adduct. Circumduction is a circular movement which includes the previous movement. A circular movement which includes the previous movement. Circumduction. Flexion, abduction, extension, adduction. Flexion, abduction, extension, adduction. Circumduction. Yeah. Occurs in a few joints, such as the shoulder and the hip joint. Rotation is the movement around the long axis of the bone. Rotation is the movement around the long axis of the bone. This is the long axis of the bone. If I rotate, does it move outside of straight being able to see? Yes. So, the ability for the whole circumference of the joint that's moving to show its size past the actual girth and length and width of the initial longer dominant joint that it's attached to. Medial, medial, rotation, where the anterior surface of the bone faces medially. The anterior surface of the bone faces medially. Lateral rotation, where the anterior surface of the bone faces laterally. The following movements occur in certain joints, such as supination, which is laying flat on your stomach with your head and your whole body laying flat. If you're a stomach sleeper, you sleep in the supination nature. And pronation. that way, occurs only in the forearm, whereas inversion and eversion occur only in the foot. So it goes front and back. The foot goes up and down. Inversion, eversion. Supination and pronation. Supination is the normal resting position of the forearm where the palm of the hand faces downwards. The radius and the ulna are parallel, and the thumb is lateral. Supination. Pronation is opposite to supination. That is, the palm of the hand faces backwards, and the radius and the ulna are crossed, and the thumb is medial. So you have supination and pronation. Supination. No, that's supination. This is pronation. It's the palm faces backwards. And it's medial instead of just. So when you raise your hand, pronation, supination, pronation, supination. Inversion and eversion. Inversion movement occurs only in the feet. Formula moment. Occurs only in the feet where the plantar surface of the foot faces medially. Eversion is opposite of inversion, where the plantar surface of the foot faces laterally. When you're walking. Swing. Yes. Inversion. Eversion. That has been the Anatomy and Physiology, Anatomical Position, Lesson 1. Now, we are moving right along to the Lifelong Language Arts category. In this course of lesson, focus, the Lifelong Language Arts will introduce a particular amount of words for that day of a specific letter. So we're alphabet focused. And let's focus on the letter E today. First word, encompassing. To encompass. Surrounding and have or hold within is to encompass. To surround, to have, to hold within is to encompass. So, one second. Anyway. Yes, to encompass. Encompassing. Surround and have or hold within. Cause something to take place. Encompassing. 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 Word number 2. Embrace. EMBRACE. RACE, embrace. A hold, to hold someone closely. A hold, for example, someone or an object, closely in one's arms, especially as a sign of affection. It is an adjective slash a pronoun. Earnestness, seriousness, and zeal in intention, purpose, or effort. Earnestness. EARNESTNESSESS. Earnestness. Eavesdropping. To listen secretly to a private conversation. Eavesdropping. 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 Ecclesiologies, the study of church doctrines of variety and variation. Ecclesiologies, earthliness. Possible or conceivable of or relating to the earth, especially earthliness. Earthlinesses. 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 Ignoramuses. Ignoramuses. ECHINODERMATOUS. Ignoramuses. Belonging or pertaining to the echinoderm. It's okay. Pertaining to the echinoderm. Now, the echinoderm is a species of marine animals of the invertebrate phylum Echinodermata, having a radiating arrangement of parts in the body, well stiffened by calcareous, pieces, like spikes, spikes. By calcaneous pieces that may protrude as spines, including sea urchins and starfish and things of that nature. Easygoingness. EASYGOINGNESSES. Easygoingness. Calm and unworried. Relaxed and rather casual. Easygoingness. Easygoingness. You gotta have fun with it. Eanling. EANLINGS. Pronounced Eanling. Young lamb or kid. Ebb, EBB, the flowing back of the tide as the water returns to the sea. Opposed to the flow. Opposed. So the opposite action of an ebb is to flow. The ebb is the return of the flow put out. And let's have a recap. We have encompassing, embrace, earnestnesses, eavesdropping, ecclesiologies, earthlinesses, ignoramuses, easygoingnesses, ealing, ebb, and echinoderm. Congratulations. We just spent time with the lifelong language arts lesson and have fulfilled lesson 1. Now, we have social studies. The 3/5 compromise agreement is the topic. The 3/5 compromise agreement between delegates from the northern and southern states at the United States Constitutional Convention of 1787. That 3/5 of the slave population would be counted for determining direct taxation and representation in the House of Representatives. That powerful statement gives the okay to say that for every 3 humans of non-slave descent are obsolete. It would take 5 slaves to amount to the importance of 3 people who were never slaves. So that leaves 2 human souls unaccounted for on purpose by doctrine and legality. And that is the vibration that we as Chakrageous stand on as the foundation, as the first company to have the mission of such reason. If you support the efforts of opening 500 plus jobs through Chakrageous in order to change this initiative is the thriving force of Chakrageous. In every way, then thank you in advance for your dollar contribution to show your support that this initiative must be addressed. Because for every dollar you choose to tithe into the university, Chakrageous Castle, which is the church, and library and sports foundation, and more, that is $1 extra towards changing 2 other lives that you do not know, and the world has taught life to be okay with biasness. Because there are 2 lives for every 3 people that 5 people know about. And those 3 people are those 2 people's friends. And to the world, those 2 people matter to no one when loyalty is on the line, possibly. And we're here to make that change, to make sure that every person matters. Your device is ready to pair. So, as that being the goal, why have we not addressed the real issue, and that is the damage of slavery? Not only has it been damaging, it's defied the flow of history, obviously, wouldn't you say? And it is a pertinent topic of social research that has to be adhered to. Slaves made up 1/3 or more of many Southern populations. A slave would count only 3/5 of a person for representation in Congress. Compromise between the Southern and the Northern states, reached during the Philadelphia Convention of 1787. Here we are today, in 2021, knowing that the Southern states wanted slaves counted as population to determine representation in the House of Representatives. I repeat, the Southern states, the Southern states wanted slaves counted as population to determine representation in the House of Representatives. They opposed counting slaves for the purpose of determining taxation. Versus the Northern states, they opposed counting slaves as population to determine representation in the House of Representatives. Favored counting slaves for the purpose of determining taxation. So there's this, what was the difference? The Southern states wanted slaves counted as population to determine representation in the House of Representatives. And the verses on that is the Northern states opposed counting slaves as population to determine House representation. Now, the Southern states opposed counting slaves for the purposes of determining taxation. Now, no, not the money. But favored counting slaves for the purpose of taxation determination was found in the Northern states. So, in the South, the desire to want to be included in the House, that's okay. Because that's an invitation to at least receive some type of financial gain from the House. But the power to determine the power of the dollar and the integrity taken to keep it should not lie in the hands of the people that work hard to gain, earn, and define material to acquire with it. So they were good enough to work and build and add to the surroundings, to remain locked out of having keys to own, and also to determine the worth of a dollar. If you could determine the worth of the material, then the material can no longer be spent on you. And that made or broke the message left to give to the Southern residencies of slave descent. So no matter how hard it could be disguised, there's someone of infinite intelligence somewhere that's systemically affected genetically as the message to pass down as morale of knowing of worth in reality of whatever's presented. It's a facade, which is psychologically damaging, but it creates the room for resilience. Because here we are today, not only counted in, not only calculated in, but we are the only owners of the calculator. And then there's a further advancement by implementing Chakrageous system. Thank you for joining on the journey of such a prevalent cause. This cause of research is the basis of Chakrageous University and any other department of expertise and specialty. We are the first business in the world where the only job, the first assignment is to stand for the need to have the 3/5 compromise. We're going to compromise the compromise by advancing it because we refuse to compromise. Opposed counting slaves as population to determine representation. The North is like, they're already able to live here. We're not going to definitely give them the okay that we won't sell them back or try to revert back ever. Because it would give too much of they knew how it seemed to see a free face every day with potential pride and hope and things of that nature. And to change tradition, to only know what one never knew. And that would be to see someone of such descent have full control over their worth, confidence, self-esteem, and ability. Oh my. The South had not the privilege to have to live amongst such free individuals in such high quantities. So no matter how much freedom one had, they only used it to remain of the intensity of choice, North or South type of free. Oh, how do you see someone happy to make their own meal and knowing that these individuals have such greatness within them that we've suppressed them to make them think, well, you should just be lucky that you have an indentured job. And you can go home to your family and make a meal of your choice if you so shall work for the scraps. And we just won't bother you. That is the definition of freedom that is taught to our children as slavery. And who knows if that has been fixed? Who knows who's teaching and why? Due to tradition. Because there are different types of mindsets. And the only thing that it would be is to say, you know what? In the North, not only do they have free reign to matter as people, the North should have more opportunities of cultural illustration available. And the South, more business owners. There should be programs to teach people how to even start writing grants to start up. It's not a competition on starting. It's more so how much education and knowledge have you allowed another individual to gain through you? How can you be a pertinent contribution? And with the 3/5 compromise, am left to conclude that it plays a big part of the stigma in today's society of better than and greater than and work hard and what, it leaves that, it shows the need to want to be seen. And it's mimicked by, okay, behind the scenes, let's give them a new trend. And then let's hold competitions and contests to show them further that, okay, well, if we disguise it as opportunity, and then it's worked all these years, that once somebody finally matters, then they should feel important. You're only important when it's time to vote. Don't forget to make sure you make your amount of individuals look great by all showing up. When really, the majority, no matter what vote you put in that ballot, the truth is, every 2 people in your line does not count. But they do count because those 2 people roll over to the other 2 people that don't count. One agreeing body of people can make a difference. And Chakrageous has formed as a company to make sure that not one soul is left behind. Because no matter who can be railroaded out, we are so advanced in time that could you imagine looking at one of your friends and just because of difference of how your skin reacts to the sun, that is why that person is not a part of a contribution in the Constitution to count as a person at all. Thank you for joining in the support of Chakrageous University, hospital, library, and more. All we ask is that for the support and the further advancement of such a company and an education resource, because in this classroom, this is a setting where your whole family can benefit in the present right now. And may this assist as a tool in the unification of a household. Welcome to the family classroom. Everybody take time right now to be appreciative for your family as you sit together. And if you're just watching this by yourself, feel free to run it back with your family and know that this moment is coming, that you take time and be grateful for all that you have to offer to the 3/5 compromise journey of ramification. Every person in your life has the opportunity to join with you. Please share the links, invite others, and let them know for $1. You can assist in the acquisition of tools that abolish the 3/5 compromise by allowing 500 jobs to be accessed in order to acquire a position at Chakrageous. The 3/5 compromise journey has to be of your interest and dedication on top of washing your hands for 60 seconds. If you support that journey, let's continue. All right. Next, that ends the lesson 1 on social studies. Workplace skills. Reason of benefit for the workplace skill class. Lesson 1, reason of benefits. To ensure that there can be unity within the workplace. Have you ever worked with someone and their skills are just completely opposite of yours? And that leads to the division in communication. Or have you ever been around and you want to be the quiet one in class because you want to listen? And then you have those rowdy, the ones that's just or the guys that's just always talking when you really want to pay attention. Have you ever felt just a little different? Where for once, that doesn't mean you don't do that. But that means at that moment, you'd rather actually utilize your time. Have you ever worked with someone who's completely wasted your time? And if only there had been a set of decorum, meaning skills, agreements, standards that cannot be bent, but has to be agreed that they're pertinent and important to adhere to. Wouldn't that be a lovely ordeal? Here's an opportunity. Welcome to the Chakrageous In-Service Academy, where you get the pertinent job skills necessary and, get this, you have the ability to join this refresher for job skill refreshment in groups. So, go out and find your coworkers that you would love to take a refresher course with, and then tell them to bring more coworkers to adapt these skills and qualities. Let's jump right into lesson 1. Reason of benefit. Guaranteed better service skills. At work, we work within an energy. And if you see someone half wash their hands, but you like to take your time to be very thorough. 1, because your license is on the line. 2, because your integrity is on the line. It is a lot better to know that you're administering care with the utmost forms of safety, so that the subject of matter of pertinent humanity is in most proper care. And this is to be used not just in the healthcare field, but in any field of expertise. Hand washing, service skills. It's not about, okay, excuse me, any lingo at work, possibly it's okay. But are we utilizing the lingo without neglecting the job at hand? Now, if we're accomplishing work together, fine. Other than that, if there is room for improvement, let's improve. Guaranteed better service skills. Guaranteed better work environment opportunities. Taking the in-service for employees will allow a better work environment opportunity. Have you ever signed up for a job and that question on the application goes, what do you expect to gain as a result for being hired here? What would you like to see the company bring to your life? Are you still the same person that you are that you were when you filled out the application? The refresher course can upgrade that and bring about a sense of happiness and an opening for change in your life. Let's implement a new set of skills. Not only a new set of skills, but also a new reason. It's about the 3/5 compromise. It's about going out there in front of the entire world and saying, not only may have not been counted out, you cannot count me as not pertinent, not important, not necessary, not a change maker, not a way maker. Yes. Find your voice. This is about finding your professional voice so that in history there is a place taken within your satisfaction of your life. Teamwork, reasoning, upholding values. And it's not about the cliques at work. Formed with gossip. It's about the initiative takers. It's about the way makers, the change takers, the generational curse breakers. It is about the necessary risk takers to stand for righteousness, but not as in one by one. It's to stand together in a collective fashion of delicacy. Yes, and by implementing the Chakrageous system, it is making sure that the foundation of humanity is protected. See, creating a sense of morale and job value expertise, how can that not be a platform for there to be room for the Chakrageous system? Have you ever been offended because of someone's tone? Have you ever been offended at work by someone's presence? Because that's just their diaspora, but it's not one that has been taught, so the comfort necessary isn't gained. Have you ever been in that situation where you wish that you can understand someone just a little bit more without seeming weaker or inferior, but just more so intimidated, but with what reason? And I guess that would be due to, option one, due to the 3/5 compromise. There is an energy amongst slave descent people of just in your face, of just, it's that energy, but it's perceived that way. But it's also due to for reaction. There's an equal and opposite reaction. You know, imagine you being that 4th and 5th person, and you walk across the stage and they go, hey, here's person number 1, person number 2, person number 3, person number 4, person number 5. That is exactly what the 3/5 compromise says about humanity. That there are 2 people that walk the earth that only are here to work. They are not here to have a reason or a right to ever matter. I thank you for joining Chakrageous University, which is built off the initiative of abolishing the 3/5 compromise. Thank you. And if you support that mission, thank you for tithing. We are open for tithes and offering at this moment. I am Reverend Dr. Chakrageous. And welcome to Chakrageous Castle. I will leave the link for the services at the castle. At the castle, we offer vigils for loved ones. Sundays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Every first Saturday, there's a mass vigil. In order to book a vigil, send a picture, offering, and request a message. There will be a link for that with further instruction. Just click on the vigil section and it'll let you know that. For the services, service every Saturday. Early service and prayer is from 8 to 10. Service is from 11 to 1. So you have prayer vigil, 8 to 10. Service 11 to 1 p.m. And also, first Poetry Fridays. Feel free for $1 to pass along the membership code to join for $1 as a member of Chakrageous Church, which is called Chakrageous Castle. We have castles here. And it's not to go against another religion or anything of other doctrine. It's more so like you have a right to a spiritual vitamin. So I join you. I join you. I join you in the first service. And you'll see the link for that next to the sermon section. Make sure you have the PDF checklist on what to bring for the service. And I welcome you. And I thank you for taking this first daily dose of education. I'm Dr. Chakrageous. Thank you. Love, light, love, and light. Love, light, love, and light. Yeah. Namaste. Welcome. Like, share, subscribe. Don't be the only member. And don't be the only one that does not remember. See you there. I look forward to having a great service. Ashe. Ashe.